Welcome everyone to the briefing for 2025 British Open Paramotor Championships, incorporating the British National Paramotor Championships. I'll just do a couple of introductions. I won't do a big round the table just because we'll take us half an hour and we've already used 20 minutes. Um, I'm Andy Phillips. Look, you know me already. I'm on the organising committee and I'm one of the co-directors this year. The other co-director is Barney, you'll all know very well. We're sort of slightly reversing roles this year. So Barney's going to be leading more on the scoring. We'll both spend as much time on the deck as we can. Uh, our chief marshal this year is Jenny Phillips, who is my daughter. I'm not sure if she's on the screen. Oh no, she's here.
I can float. Hello.
There she is. And again, a lot of you know Jen. Um, we also have, and it's Pav with us tonight. He's not, is he? So, slight change from before. So Jen's going to look after the admin, booking people in and out of the deck, all the scoring aspects of the marshalling. And John Pavitt, Pav is going to be our chief launch marshal and safety officer, working side by side with ads, so that team will be running the deck as they always do, safely and efficiently. The scoring team, well, it's as many as we can get in that cabin. It's going to be Jack, who is a cow tonight, I think, and Henny, who's I don't think Henny's with us this evening, but Henny Brink, who a lot of you met last year from South Africa. Um, and I'll say it, I might say it again, but Henny has done a huge amount of work in Gaggle to help us with the scoring. And we're enormously grateful. Very sad he can't be with us, but fortunately he's same time zone. So he'll be able to burn the midnight oil if necessary with us over a virtual beer. Also, we have some of our marshals here. Welcome, particularly to new marshals. Thank you. As we always say, it cannot happen without you. So thank you for your commitment and your time. Before I go any more, I'll just say I'm sure all of you are aware now. I had some very sad news this last week. Glenn Michelin from the French team, the trike champion, died in a tragic accident at Lake Annecy. Um, so our thoughts are with the French team, with Glenn's family, his girls, and we'll remember him at the event when we're all together. Right. So I'll crack on now with the briefing. So this is an outline. I'm not going to go through the ins and outs of the task catalogue and local regulations. Please, if you haven't done, make the time to read through those and understand them as best you can. Barney and I have tried to simplify some of the changes to make it as easy to understand as possible, and we'll outline those tonight. But say that's where the detail is. So please take the time. Like to welcome new pilots as well. So this year we have 19 foot launch pilots. We have 5 trikes and 2 in the Discovery class, which we parked last year. So welcome to our 2 Discovery pilots. Essentially, they'll be flying much the same comp as everybody else, but with navigation aids. So they'll be able to use GPS and engine on landings. But as much as possible, we'll try and keep them doing the same as everybody else. Particularly at the comp and also when I open for questions, there's no such thing as a stupid question. So if in doubt about anything, do ask. You can always bet that somebody else wants to ask the same thing. So do. Right, I'm going to go on now. I can attempt to share some slides, and let's see. Going what we're doing there. If it doesn't, appear. Ooh, says I'm screen sharing.
Ah, it's there.
Does it start to come up?
Yeah.
Hey, great. Okay,
Yay.
fantastic. Right. So uh, the site this year, we're at Bicester Airfield. Hang on. Oh, Bicester. So a few little shots of Bicester. It used to be the largest grass airfield in the country, apparently. Very old. It predates the RAF. So the Royal Flying Corps were flying there in the early 20th century before the RAF was even formed. You'll see a lot of the old buildings there, which you can see in the bottom of this picture here. Uh, I'll put a different picture to show. This is more of a direct aerial view. So all of Vista Motion, all of the hangars where, again, you'll know that there's a tragic fire there not so long ago. And this is the first flying event that's happened there since then. We're going to be up in this triangle, no, to the right of the triangle, the right-hand side here. Um, oh, I just realised you can't see my pointer. But there we are. That's the layout of the site. So the yellow part is our launch deck, which is approximately 8 acres. The blue area is the camping area, about 4 acres. I'll say now, don't spread out any further than you need to. There are 25 pilots this year and about a dozen marshals, so there'll be no more than 50 of us. So don't feel you have to go to the other end of the field. My advice, I was going to come on to this, is when you get there, look for a camping spot somewhere near the toilets, the marquee, and the entrance to the deck. And then we'll be a nice little community. The marquee is going to be in this the orange blob in the corner of the blue blob. The green area at the top is going to be visitors parking, and the yellow blob at the back by the woods is the shower block and toilets. Showers there. Toilets will be in the main camping area. Okay, so that's the main layout. At the site, we're about a mile away from the main buildings. That's how big that field is. So there, that's a no-fly zone. We'll be flying over those buildings, and we've got a meeting on Friday with them to confirm what facilities are going to be available there in terms of food, because there's lots of small businesses, and a couple do cater for the others. Right, so on to our flying area. So the overall area where we're going to be using is just over 50 kilometers across and 36 kilometers south to north. It's very different from last year's site in that we are not in the top right-hand corner of the flying area. We're bang in the middle of it, with not too much in the way of no-fly zones. I'll explain a bit more about those in a moment. Across the area, there are going to be 120-ish turn points, 6 precision navigation tasks, and I'll go through a few of the no-fly zones now. So you can see Bicester bang in the middle. That's Bicester Town, that no-fly zone. Just to the left of it is Weston on the Green, which is a very active jump zone for parachutists. So that's an obvious no-fly zone. A little to the southwest of there is Oxford, again, reasonably busy. And the big red blob at the bottom left-hand corner of the map is Brize Norton, which again has some heavy transport in and out of there. To the north, we've got Weston and a couple of other smaller airfields. And near the centre, near Bicester, just slightly to the northeast of our site, is a paramotoring site. And it's more a case of not spoiling it for them by keeping clear of their area. Incidentally, Barney, at any point, please, if I get something wrong or miss something, do just chip in and save me. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Share. Stop sharing and then just go on. Okay, so the maps will be using the usual uh, Ordnance Survey Land Ranger series printed at 1 to 66,666. For as many of you know, we've sort of settled on that over the years so you can get maximum amount of detail in the smallest area and still be able to read it. You'll also be given a small an A4 sheet which will cover the area, the immediate area for no-fly zones if you're going to be flying before the event. Loggers, we're using FlyMaster again. No need to return them to the scoring shed. It'll all be done automatically. And two key things. Oh, ding dong. Make sure they're on. Make sure they're switched on. It happens every year. Don't be that person. Make sure it's on when you fly. It is your responsibility to charge them, but the data will come to us through the ether. Electronic equipment, no smartphones to be carried, with the exception of the FAI triangle and also the Pure Eco, we've decided. So those two tasks, you can carry smartphones. We've also been asked the question of whether you can carry an extra reserve. Yep. For that task, if you're using that as a flight deck as well, for those tasks, absolutely fine. So we suggest you also carry a basic mobile phone that you can use in the event of a land out. That means that you don't need to unseal your mobile. Can you use a flight deck instead of a map board? Yeah, you can, John. Yes. Yeah, so a basic mobile phone that's got no Bluetooth, no navigation capability, then we encourage you to carry those. And they're about a pound, sorry, about £10, I think now. Um, Scoring, Gaggle. I'm going to big up Henny again. He's done miracles with Gaggle. Very, very happy with everything he's done. Um, because of the way we're going to be presenting the scoring, you may not see the work he's done, but it is all there. It's the engine behind all the scoring this year. Turn point hunt scoring will be the same as before, with points awarded to the turn points getting greater as you go further away. At this point, I'm going to hand over to Barney. There he is. To talk through some of the precision navigation because it has changed. We've tried to put two sort of the simple version and the geeky version of the scoring in the task catalog. The simple version is really nice and simple. It's just the better you fly, the more accurately you fly, the higher you'll score. But Barney will now give you a bit more detail. I will share the slides again so you can use these and just tell me to go forward or backward, Barney, as you need it.
Sure. Okay. Hi, everyone. Apologies, I had to drop out for a moment then. I don't know what's wrong with our collective IT systems this evening. So you've all, of course, read the task catalogue in the highest degree of detail, and I'm sure you're all completely comfortable with it because I've had no questions at all, apart from, well, very few that have come straight to me. So we're not going, this is not to go through uh, sort of the full explanation of the how all the tasks should be approached strategy wise and so on. As those of you that have been to competitions before know, and I think there's only three new pilots in the room. There's plenty of help when you get there as we brief the tasks for the detailed planning of how you might approach your own planning of these tasks within your remit. What I will talk about generally, though, is the principle of how we've adjusted them for this year to score with Gaggle and try and give you some confidence, give you a kind of overview of how you what you will see will be slightly different, or whether there's any difference in your strategy, which in essence there shouldn't be. So we have, as Andy said, the master turn point hunt navigation. That has no change whatsoever. Turn points within 10 kilometers of the airfield score 10 points. Turn points within 20 kilometers score 20 points. And turn points within 30 kilometers score 30 points. We then have the three different types of precision navigation task. And the crucial difference between last year and this year is that last year we were scoring through a software called Pesto, which required us to set up and define specific hidden gates along the task routes. The difference between that and Gaggle is that Gaggle automates the hidden gates, and because it's all automated, it distributes many, many more of them. So there is a hidden gate effectively every 100 meters along the course. So in order to score it, and on every one of them, you will score according to whatever it's looking for. So on the first of those, and the most straightforward of the navigation task, which is the snake navigation, it's very simple. You need to fly bang on the line that is marked on the map. And for every meter, in fact, no, for every 5 meters, you are off that because Gaggle uses a 5 meter accuracy range. You will lose points relatively to the full score that you might achieve if you were within 5 meters of that track line on the map, out to a maximum distance of the corridor width, which is 125 meters either side of the track line. So the difference is in the past we've scored that cumulatively, and it's very binary. If you cross that hidden gate, you get the full points for that hidden gate. If you happen to be outside the corridor, you get no points for that hidden gate. In this one, you will score hopefully all, if not most, of the hidden gates. And
Okay.
the closer you get to the center, the higher you will
Okay.
score on each one. Was someone asking a question then?
I
You
think
might want
it's
to switch your
Blaze.
mic off, Blaze, if you're having a chat.
It wasn't me, but I've got a question if now's a good time.
Okay, why not?
The way you've got the diagram shown on the screen there, you've got the center line, which I presume is what's marked on the map. Are we getting border lines on the map this year as well, like your solid lines on that, or not?
I'm not actually seeing, is the screen being shared? I'm not seeing it at the moment.
Yes, so we've got a track with the track width of 125 either side.
Is it the diagram that was in the scoring, the task catalog?
Yeah. So my simplified
Oh no,
question is,
sorry, I've got the screen.
are we getting a single line on the map, or are we getting a corridor marked on the map like you've got displayed on the screen at the minute?
Yeah, sorry, it was new to me, this new version of Zoom. It's putting it in a different tab for some reason. You will get just the one line on the map, which is the center line to fly to, and it will be as thin a line as we can make legible and easily visible. You can put your own width corridor on it with your highlighters or whatever you like.
Yeah. Apologies if I confused, but this is really just to demonstrate how it works.
Thank you.
So, Andy, can you flip to the diagram that was in the task catalog for that task?
Yeah. This one.
That'll be the one. So this is a sort of a simplification that we've tried to use to illustrate how you might score for the task. The left-hand y-axis is your distance from the center line, and that could be either side. So this only represents sort of off to one side, but we've done that to simplify things. But it could be either side of the center line, which is the 0 line. So the bottom line, the x-axis, represents your maximum possible score. For every Gaggle actually scores in 5 meter increments, but you can see that the difference between being on the center line and being on the 125 line relates to an inverse multiplier. So we invert that, and for each, if we assign 1,000 points to the task and there are 20 gates on the task, there will be a lot more than this, but we've simplified it for the diagram. Then you'll have each point worth 1,000 divided by 20, and then a percentage of that according to the fraction that is on the right-hand y-axis of that graph. So where you are outside 125 meters, as in the sort of the 7th, 5th, and 7th and 9th points along, or on the 25 meters, you'll score 0. If you're bang on that line, you'll score the full point value of 50 points for each point in that example along it. And so the points will add up cumulatively, and within the Gaggle software, you won't see this, but they'll add up to very high numbers. But we will then normalize them back to being worth a percentage of 1,000 points, or whatever we've defined as the maximum point value for that task. And again, as we give you the map, some longer tasks will be worth closer to 1,000 in the maximum points you can score. Shorter tasks might be closer to 500, and that becomes a pilot strategy decision as to which ones you choose for how long you want to fly for, and to give you more time in your flight to do other things. So that's the sort of the general principle of how Gaggle scores it, and it's no different really in the next two task types. So there's the precision navigation with estimated speed and precision navigation with constant speed. Constant speed is actually closer to, let's skip to constant speed, Andy. Sort of closer to the snake navigation, because they're using the same high number of scoring gates every 100 meters or so, automated by Gaggle. The difference is when you get to the end of the leg, it can, in fact, you don't even need to get to the end of the leg. It will calculate from however many scoring points you have within that leg that you've hit, what your average speed should have been, and then and this is average ground speed, and then where you are relatively in a deviation of kilometers per hour from what your average should have been if you're flying an entirely constant ground speed. And again, you'll get a sort of inverted fractional percentage that will then be the multiplier for your points in that leg. Flip back one, Andy, to the estimated speed. So the estimated speed task is the one that requires a declaration. This is the only one that's not yet fully automated into Gaggle. As with estimated speed in the past, we've always had a element of precision navigation using standard hidden gates that aren't time related. That is to ensure that pilots fly in a direct line from turn point to turn point, rather than just declare a very slow time and then do big zigzags to slow down when they get there, leaving plenty of time in hand. So under our scoring this year, 20% of the points will be from, it'll take the standard sort of snake navigation, precision navigation scoring, and then divide that by 5. And then we will also take the output from Gaggle and register the events of your time passing the turn points that mark the end of each leg, and do a comparison between your declared time and the time that you pass them. And we have a deviation value then. So what's being assessed is the deviation of your declaration from the time you actually arrived. So whether that, in this example, is saying on their first timing gate, they were bang on their declaration. So they got the full, again, with this inverted scoring fraction, they got the full points. they were on the next one 20 seconds out. On the next one, they were more than 50 seconds out. And the time limit we've set in this one is 50 seconds. This is different to last year when the maximum limit was 100 seconds, but we had a sort of multiplier of 2 on the error in last year's scoring catalogue. This is effectively incorporated that scoring, that multiplier back in. But frankly, if you're more than 50 seconds out on any of your turn points on a declared time task, then you should have figured that out before you went into the task, that it was not going to work, and not be that late. So it's punitive in the same way that the previous formula last year was fairly punitive too. This is no doubt the most challenging task in many ways.
Question, Bonnie.
Yeah.
The turn points for this, are they still circular turn points closest to the centre, or are they now a flat gate?
They are circular turn points, just like last year, and Gaggle will register the time that it registers of the event will be the closest point that you pass to the centre of that turn point.
Same as last year.
So that, in essence, is the principle of all the tasks. If you look at this task catalogue, obviously I have to publish the maths and the equations of how these things are calculated by Gaggle, so it looks quite complicated if you're not familiar with some of that notation and terminology in the maths, but it actually isn't. It's basically describing how we take the sum of a lot of different points that are allocated a percentage of the maximum points you can achieve for any one assessment point, according to how far away from it you are, either in your speed or your time, or your declaration. Any more questions?
I'll just put in chat, Barney, but are we capturing data GPS points at every second?
Yes, the fly masters will be logged every second, but the hidden gates allocated by Gaggle are distributed about every 100 meters. And I know Henny's thought quite hard about that second's breadcrumb and the way that it captures things and the overlaps that he factors in, so that things won't get missed.
Yeah, I've done some calculations around that. I might need to come back to you about that, but I'm sure he's looked at it fully and it's a simple answer. So
yeah, shall we take that offline then?
And for sure.
You can feed back to everybody in the first briefing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything that arises from it.
So I see John's put a question in there about declarations, still cumulative rather than splits. Yes, all the times you'll give will be from when you cross the start gate.
Yeah, in seconds from start gate. And again, we will give you an online Google form to put your details into. And that needs to be done before.
I was going to cover
you take
that.
off on the flight.
Yeah.
But if you have done it once, if you've done it the day before and then not flown that task that day, and the next day you go out and you fly that task, but you haven't submitted a new set of declarations, which is unlikely that you wouldn't, but if you have, we'll always just take the most recent set of declarations that you put in. So even if you get up at 6 a.m. and you send in a set of declarations, and then you walk out on the deck and you realize the wind's a bit stronger, and you get your mobile phone out and submit a new set of declarations, that's absolutely fine. We'll still take the most recent set that you submitted.
Yeah. And equally, if you submit some declarations and then choose not to fly the task, doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
In some of the tasks last year, if you missed one of your hidden gates on one of the straight legs, for example, it would have a huge impact because it would affect kind of your partial leg before and your partial leg after. How does that work, for example, leaving the track now? Because you're effectively missing one of the 25-meter gates, if that makes sense.
Good question. That was on the constant speed task, because we needed a timestamp for the turn point that marked the end of one leg and the start of the next leg in order to be able to give you an average speed for both legs. In this one, that actually is not, with Gaggle, that's not nearly such a big issue, because let's say you flew 90% of the hidden gates in a leg, missed the end turn point and then joined the next leg, it will just take its average from the 90% of the gates that were in that leg that you did. So it's actually not that big a deal if you miss the turn point at the end of the leg on the constant speed. It is worth saying that Gaggle also has a setting in which forgive me, Andy, if you were planning on covering this or you did whilst I was out the meeting, if you leave a track because you get lost, you do it without backtracking, hopefully, and Gaggle does automate the backtracking checker. You have 5 minutes to go outside the track, reorientate yourself, re-enter the track without backtracking again. But if you are more than 5 minutes out of the track, then it will not score you for the rest of that precision task. We consider that if you're lost for more than 5 minutes, then you're well and truly lost, and you can go off and do something else.
Okay.
Partially related to that, then, how many goes do we get at each task? For example, if you did like the first half a mile of a snake task and realised you were having engine problems, came back, landed, are we allowed to then go and restart that task for a second time or not?
No.
All right.
Nothing's changed there.
So once you've left and you've left it for 5 minutes, that's it for the whole competition.
That's off the board for the competition.
Okay.
If
Okay.
we start,
Sorry, go on, Rick, and then I'll carry on because I may be
we
covering
were
some.
to accidentally start the task, but we're seen not to obviously try and fly the task, how would that work?
Do you want to answer this, Andy, or do you want...
Yeah, we tried to define when you cross a start gate and you're heading in the direction of the task, and you hit, in the past it would have been some of the hidden gates. You can tell that's an attempt at it. If while doing turn point hunt, you accidentally fly across a start gate, then I mean it's very obvious visually that you're not attempting that task. But I think and I can't remember, Barney, off the top of my head, what the definition was, whether it was.
Yeah, I can. And it's a very good question, Rick, because it came up last year and we specifically defined it under the old Pesto system where we had fewer hidden gates. And we said if you've done more than the first hidden gate, I think we said if you do 2 hidden gates, that you would be clearly defined as having made an attempt at that task. Or maybe it was the start point plus 1 hidden gate, I think we said. You'd have done enough of the course to have defined it. The immediate answer is that we hadn't considered that with a specific answer to that under the new Gaggle scoring with gates every 100 meters, and we will park that and come back to you with an answer and a definitive response at the next briefing.
Yes,
but it will be probably a number of hidden gates as scored by Gaggle.
Yeah, and it will be, which will effectively be a distance.
Yeah.
So it'll be whether it's 500 meters or a kilometer. So, okay. Barney, thanks very much for covering that stuff. You can all keep yourselves up awake late at night looking over the maths just for fun if you want to. But as Barney said, the key to it is just by flying as close to the center line in the snakes and being as accurate as you can on your timings on the constant speed and declared. And if you do that, you'll score highly. One thing I'm not sure if we covered, but the relationship between your position in the track and also any deviation in time is a linear thing. In case anyone had heard anything about squares or anything like that, it's a linear relationship. So if you're 50% of the way across the gate, you'll get 50% of the available score for it.
And he had previously set this up with a square relationship, and we've run some simulations and removed that.
Yeah. Okay, right. I'll carry on now. You might find any other questions may be covered in the next 10 minutes or so, and then we'll open for general questions. So first thing was to do was declared speed. I've done that. So arrival. particularly for those of you who haven't been before. Uh, first thing is not before Tuesday, please. We're only able to get onto site on the Monday to set up because of the Formula One at the weekend is using the airfield for park and ride. So we are only getting on first thing on Monday morning. If you're traveling a long distance and it's a real issue, just let us know. But in principle, Tuesday, please. When you get there, find yourself a camping spot, as I said, near the marquee, the toilets, and the deck, and then we'll open registration and we'll announce that on the WhatsApp, so you'll be able to get properly registered and get your local flying maps. No local flying until you've had that that you've registered and also you've had an initial briefing from Barney or me. And that I'm afraid will go for marshals as well because we'll be very busy.
Sorry,
Oh,
Andy.
yes.
We did announce that pilots can arrive from Monday. It's Sunday that they can't arrive.
Apologies. Right, I've slipped a day there.
Yeah,
Thank
Sunday
you.
they will not let you on site
Yeah.
because it's going to be a massive car park.
But okay, I'll modify that. If you do arrive on Monday, though, you might be putting chairs out and shifting stuff around. So don't turn up too early. Okay, yeah, thanks for
Just
that.
sticking to what I had previously announced on.
I am
No.
sorry, I am not good in English. I didn't understand. So Sunday, no.
No, not on Sunday.
Not
Is
Sunday.
that
Is Monday okay or not?
Monday,
Monday is okay.
Okay.
Monday is
perfect.
okay.
I will arrive on Monday. Thank you.
Good. Okay, I apologize. I confused that. So, right, site specific. So the owners, I'll do this when we're there, but we're lucky to be there. They had a very serious fire about a month ago, and they've actually been closed for all air movements since then. So this is the very first thing. They haven't opened yet for PPR for light aircraft, which could be good for us because if there's no aircraft there, then we'll have a bit more freedom of movement across the airfield. When we're there, and this goes for every site, just respect the fact that we are somebody's guests. They have neighbours, so it's the usual. Don't loiter over areas very close by. Take off and move off. Infrastructure. So we've got, as I said, showers earlier on. Got one block of toilets instead of distributed around. So that's another reason to all stay fairly close together. And there'll be some waste disposal. The water, we've got a Bowser. I think it's a 3,000 litre Bowser for the showers. So for drinking water, you'll have to bring bottled water. I believe there is a tap over the other side, but it's a mile away, so it's not. You can't just nip over and top up. So do consider that when you're getting your kit for coming. Also, food. We've tried to get caterers to come to site, and we've had issues with that. So I'm afraid that there isn't going to be any on-site catering this time. But the good news is Bicester is just down the road. It has everything, Greggs, Tesco's, all sorts of other things. And we are going to try and do food on one evening, I think, probably the last evening. So, yeah, a barbecue on the final evening. But and also because it's close to town, there's all the delivery things as well. So food.
I'll say on that we will have a gas-powered barbecue, quite a big one there that will be sort of open access if anybody wants to help themselves to that. It'll be there throughout the week as well. So that'll be kind of somewhere accessible if you want to plan to use that.
Very generous. Thank you, Bernie. Okay, right, we talked about the no-fly zones, deck safety. I'm just going to cover a few safety points. So the marshals are there principally to ensure your safety and very close behind their own safety. The other principles behind that, as you'll know, are fair, simple, and fun. That's what we want our competitions to be: safe, fair, simple, and fun. So if the marshals ask you to do something, please do it. Don't argue, or if you have an issue, then come and do what they ask and then come and see one of us afterwards. But I really don't think that's going to be an issue. We've got a 20-meter separation zone between the campsite and the flying deck, with access through the marshal station as last year. The only slight difference to last year is that, well, you'll go in on one side, out on the other, and marked up on the board. Actually, there's almost no difference. When you're out on the field, I'd like to hear clear prop every time, nice and loud. No running of any engines in the campsite or in the separation zone, so only on the airfield, please. And also no walking long distances with the engine running on your back. Helmets to be worn whenever you're clipped in, with or without a motor. Marshals will help you, but only at your invitation. So they won't touch your kit on the deck unless you ask them. If you're on the deck and you're not flying, then high vis, that's for everyone. So whether you're an assistant or family, or should be on the, actually it's just marshals and pilots who aren't flying to be wearing high vis, please. And the last thing is, if you're flying and you see a blue tarpaulin with a white cross on it, then that means to land away from the tarpaulin, because a helicopter may be coming in to the tarpaulin. Okay. Any questions on those safety points specifically?
Will there be a designated fueling area?
Yes, there will be. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, deliberately left something out. Yeah, it'll be, but very similar to before, right beside the access onto the deck, and there'll also be the quarantine area there for the eco tasks.
Secondly, not necessarily safety, but flying windows, given the issues we had taking off at 5:30.
Yeah.
What have you decided?
Yes. I'm coming up to that.
Okay, sorry.
I'll do it now. It's okay.
Andy, could I just quickly ask, whilst we're on the subject of fueling, is there likely to be over 5 litres allowed for eco tasks? I know that's been a problem in the past.
No, good question.
Tanks.
No, we've made that decision that it'll be no more than 5 litres.
Cool.
So yeah,
thanks.
Andy, is it worth, just on the questions about the separation zone, I've got the map up that we used in the risk assessment. I can share that quickly.
Oh yeah.
Request to Blaze to share the map, unless you're planning on doing it and you've got that line.
Oh, I've just realised I'm still sharing that big, lovely big chart. Yeah.
Blaze, can you authorise me to share? He's not there. All right, we'll come back to that if Blaze returns, or I can email it back to you, Andy.
Yeah, if you email it, I'll pick it up and put it on here. But yes, so takeoff's normally free, but they'll be regulated by marshals unless briefed otherwise. But normally it won't be championship or reverse championship. The flag system, some of you may remember that the trikes had blue flags instead of green last year. We're leaving that now, so it'll be red and green flags, or red and yellowish, yellowy green. So that's the system I think everybody's used to anyway. If you land out first thing you should do if you're okay, if you're not going to immediately launch again, is to bunch your wing. The reason being, any other pilots flying over, if they see a bunched wing, they know that someone has gathered it. And if you're walking around, then they'll be able to see if they're closer, but a bunched wing indicates that you're under control. If you call back to let us know then on your basic mobile phone, that would be great. If you have to unwrap your sealed phone, then obviously there's a penalty. If you have your own retrieve arrangements, that's great. If you don't, we'll do our best to get someone to you as soon as possible. That's it. Emergency services will be notified that we're in the area, and we have first aiders on site. We're running a first aid course for 8 people on the Monday and Tuesday, so we'll have plenty of first aid trained people. Last couple of things, pilot numbers. When you get your pilot numbers, please put them in the right place on your cage. Check at the time if you're not sure, because they're really difficult to get apart once you've put them on the wrong side. So it'll be on the right side of your cage, sort of there-ish. So pilots can, the marshals can see you from the front, and they're not having to look around your cage to work out where it is. So more or less straight out from your shoulder, the right side, please. And so flying windows, Adrian, yes, we've actually had to agree with the airfield that we're not going to fly. That we didn't ask to. We've just agreed. I think was it 07, Barney? Yeah, it's so we won't be launching. Yeah, we've got big grins there.
Lay in.
We'll get a lie in. Yeah, so 8 o'clock. Yeah, sorry, 7 o'clock in the morning to start. But we've got long days as well, so we'll be able to fly right into the evening, hopefully.
7 o'clock is always the default. It was only earlier at the Worlds last year because we were quite concerned we might not have a valid World Championship at one point.
Yeah.
But I think I'm still not welcome back in Kent.
No. And companies who weren't even involved in the competition were getting abuse. It was, yeah, definitely to be avoided. But it was
an awesome flight, though.
Oh, the pictures were fantastic too. It was worth it, wasn't it? Just for the pictures. Right.
Another question, John.
Okay. Can I see the kind of declaration? No, that's.
Are we anticipating flight time per window being more than 3 hours?
Could be. So we had some 5-hour limits last year, so I think it's quite possible if we had, depending on the conditions, if it goes back to being super hot and super thermic, then we might be avoiding the middle of the day and splitting it up. But if it does calm down a bit, then we may. I think we have had a 5-hour flight time, haven't we, Barney?
5 hours window, not
Yeah.
flight time.
I thought we had to.
We had a 5-hour in the Worlds, not in the British.
Yeah, because I remember. I think Dan flew nearly a 5-hour flight.
Yeah, I did the entire 5 hours.
Yeah, if it's 5 hours, I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you would. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Can we make the point again for the new members who are sitting in this conversation? There is no requirement for you to do a 5-hour flight.
Absolutely not.
The
format of this.
More to the point, I'll also just explain the context if it wasn't clear, that for those navigation periods, we'll set a window which is can't launch before and must land by the end of that window, which, for example, may be 5 hours, but will give you a maximum flight time within that window, which could be, for example, 3 hours. So even though you've got a 5 hour slot, you can only be in the air for 3 hours during that. And that could be a single flight or it could be a series of shorter flights, completely up to you. And this site gives much more scope for a number of smaller flights because you can fly not quite, but almost 360 degrees from the airfield. So it's going to be a different strategy to last year with those where the long flights really paid off.
But it's worth saying that what I think Dan's talking about is on where you have a day of fantastic weather. We might well say that window opens at 7 a.m. and closes at 6 p.m.
Yeah,
and you have maximum 5 hours during the day, in which most people will go off and do a couple of hours in the morning and a couple of hours in the late afternoon.
yeah, but we're not specifying that it's in 3 hour chunks for them. So it could be. Yes, it was Dimanche of the Worlds. Thank you, Sandra.
I presume because of the proximity of the airfield to the area, there's no land out refueling anywhere, as in designated refueling off the site.
We've got no land out areas. Although designated anyway. All right, that just about covers it. Oh, well, I think it does. But I'm happy to take any questions. Remember that on the Tuesday evening, we're going to have an on-site briefing. Between now and then, if there are, say if there are any questions that you'd like to ask and I can share with the group, then we'll do that as well.
Post questions on the pilots group that you've all got access to.
Yeah.
We'll either reply there, or if they're ones that we need a definitive answer that should be more easily searchable, we'll put it on the announcements group. But generally the announcements will be fewer important messages that need to be findable so they're not lost in the noise. General chat will be on the pilots group.
I've got a quick question, Andy. Andy, can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Sorry, go on, Michael.
Quick question. You mentioned about the wearing high vis on the deck if you're not flying. If you walk out on the field without your motor just to go and lay your wing out, is that considered a case where you need to have a high vis?
No, for us it isn't. So this would be, for example, if you were sitting out a task, but if you're intending to fly or you have been flying, then no. It's a very good question because from what I understand in France, it's high vis on the deck all the time. So which is something I'm considering. I was considering for the future, but for this year, no. If you're flying or intending to fly or have flown, then no high vis.
I agree. For practicality purposes, it's not really reasonable or not ideal to ask pilots to shove on a high vis just to walk out with their jacket. And at the moment, our insurers, the BHPA, don't ask us to insist on that. So they're the ones that set the letter of the law on those sorts of safety issues.
Incidentally, when I was talking about the support earlier on, I should have said we owe a lot of thanks to the BHPA for the support they're giving us with the competition, but also with supporting the squad and the team. So huge thanks to BHPA, and also we have a number of other sponsors this year. So you'll hear more about those and see them when we are at the site. But people have been generous again, even though we're smaller this year. And Jason, from what they call free fly. I'm thinking Tuesday because we're going to be setting up on the Monday, so there's going to be no marshals to make sure everything's safe. We also have some marshals in the first aid course for those 2 days. So I'd hope we can open up on Tuesday morning if we can supervise it safely.
It may be, Andy, because the other thing to bear in mind here is that we can't be doing ad hoc. We have to give every pilot an on-site safety briefing when they arrive.
Yeah.
We can't be doing them individually each time every pilot
No.
arrives. So if we say we'll do we'll give you the time, but it'll be evening briefing, 9 o'clock or something on the Monday for anyone that's arrived on Monday afternoon, got set up.
Yeah.
Then you can fly Tuesday morning for those that have been in that briefing. But we have to keep this manageable.
Yeah.
Barney, I presume you may have asked, are we allowed to bring dogs with us?
You would presume correctly, and their initial agreement said no dogs whatsoever, and I challenged it. The answer is yes, we can, so long as they are under control and on leads is the requirement, unlike previous sites. So,
okay.
No, so poor old Paddy's not going to have free reign of the entire race like he's used to. But.
Okay,
yeah. So the rabbits are safer than they would be otherwise. Okay. Yeah. Any more? Any more?
Then I should be able to share screen now. Should I share the site map quickly, Andy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I've just lost it again. Let me open it up.
Yep. You can see it.
Sorry, that's the wrong one. Desktop 2. Yeah. Okay. You see that one? Map?
Yes.
Okay. So when you arrive, this is the main Bicester Ring Road down here, and the entrance gate. We think we're meeting with them on Friday to confirm, but as we understood it, will be this gate. The main gate to their complex is what's under the red here. This is the Bicester Motion complex. They have hangars, and there is a cafe in one of these buildings. And again, they'll be open during daytimes, or certainly on weekdays, and we'll confirm what their hours are. And the signage for it takes you in that entrance, but I'm fairly sure we will be in this entrance here, which is gate number 6, I think it is. Again, we will publish this before you arrive, and you'll follow the perimeter road. This is an old photo. There's now a lot more development in the lower corner of this map, and there's like a drone development, vertical takeoff drone site with a pad somewhere here. We don't believe they're going to be active flying wise, but you'll see a lot of stuff going on. So you'll drive around here and then up to the site here. So I zoom in on that. The yellow is our deck. So the main airfield we don't have full access to. They charge by the meter squared effectively. So it would have cost us an awful lot more money to guarantee the full use of that airfield. I think we will have access for certain aspects when we need them, like precision elements. But for general day-to-day takeoff and landings, it will be the yellow site down here. This is still, I think, about 250 meters across this square. It's still actually a very large area. And we will have our normal situation with the yellow being the deck. Between the orange lines is the separation zone. There's a road across the middle, which keeps it nice and visually obvious. Pilot entry will be through between the orange square, which will be the marshal tent. The red square will be the fueling and the quarantine zone. The white will be the main marquee, so you've got full deck visibility, and the camping will be the large blue square. Toilets and shower block will probably be down the back here with some drainage into the pond there. Visitor parking will be the green up here. So when you arrive, again, we will set the campsite up, but probably it will be a direction into a central roadway down the middle with turn-offs both sides to pitching your tents. But for the number of people we've got registered for this competition, that's a very large area, so there's plenty of space for everybody. We can expand further out this way as well. Any questions?
Gate 8.
Gate 8 it is.
I think it is, yeah.
Okay.
Okay then. Well, if there's no more, I think, well, That's brilliant,
Daniel?
considering we started 20 minutes late. So thank you very much,
Sorry,
everyone.
Andy,
Really.
Sandra had a question.
Oh, sorry.
Just on the picture, what were the small square, red and orange?
Oh, so one was the Marshall station, and don't worry, then they're going to be closer together. The Marshall station and the fuel station.
You remember the tents for the marshals where you sign in and out with the whiteboard?
When you are going to the takeoff, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So for takeoff, you walk from here through here to the deck.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Right.
Andy, could I quickly confirm something regarding the constant speed?
Yep.
Yes.
Am I right in thinking that we don't have to finish the leg, but we can still score points for that leg?
Correct.
Cool.
It will take the average of all of the all of the hidden gates that you do score within that leg and take an average of all of them to use as the average speed that it's comparing you against, rather than needing you to finish the leg.
Yep.
And I should say that they're explicitly called sample points rather than hidden gates in the task catalog, because they're not quite the same as the gates that were used in Pesto previously when they're all 125 meters either side, 250 meters wide. They're actually circles on a center point, and for each circle it takes the nearest point that you come to the center of the circle. So mathematically how it looks for the data is slightly different, but that's nothing to be too concerned about. It's only pedantic mathematicians who get too worried about that.
Or excited. Right. Okay. Jack's smiling there. Lovely. Hey, really looking forward to seeing you all, everyone there. Can't wait to get started. We will put the recording of this on the group. So if you want to have a look through it again, then I'll try and trim off the first 20 minutes of embarrassment. And that'll be available for anybody else who wasn't able to join us tonight.
Andy, could I just ask a quick question about the entry to the overall Bista site? Is there any security? Is there anything we have to go through? Or do we just turn into gate 8 and go for it?
The gates are manned, and it will be manned all the time with there, is my understanding. This is one of the things we're clearing up on Friday when we have our meeting with them, because obviously we sometimes go in and out very late or very early. So, but yeah, there'll be a gate, but you won't have any problem getting through, as we'll brief them on who's going to be there if we need to.
Well, it's worth saying we'll be using the same system of different coloured wristbands that we've used in previous years, so that will be what their security, if any, will be briefed on. Obviously, you won't have them when you first arrive.
Okay, but no, that's one of the things to tick off. But we had no problem getting in when we were there at all. There's quite a few businesses there, and they have people coming in as customers, so it's not an issue. Okay, right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Marty.
We'll see you
Cheers
next
all.
week.
Looking forward to seeing you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
See everybody next week. Bye.